Welcome to the PropLinq AI podcast, where we speak with forward-thinking real estate leaders who are building smarter, stronger businesses by combining data, creativity, and deep understanding of people. I'm Stuart Quintal, founder of PropLinq AI. We help property businesses supercharge their lead systems and sales performance using AI-powered tools and workflows. Today, I'm joined by Nate Mallon, the founder and managing partner of Verada Retail, a next-generation retail leasing firm based in New York. It's redefining what brokerage means in the urban retail world. Nate and his team are known for their brand-first approach, putting tenant and identity, community connection, and long-term storytelling at the heart of retail site selection and leasing. Nate, great to have you on the podcast.
Stuart, it's great to be here and speak with you. I'm excited to be on the program.
Yeah, so am I. Especially with some of the tenants that you've worked with and also the businesses that you've helped find space. So let's start with, I guess, an origin story. What led you to launch Verada, and what were you trying to change about how retail brokerages work?
Well, as a co-founder and managing partner of Verada, our primary objective from the get-go, our mission statement was pretty clear, and that was to deliver the best-in-class landlord representation in Brooklyn, New York. And with that in mind, we developed Verada Retail, which in North Brooklyn is considered by Bing or Google one of the top brokerages that come up on the search engines, if not number one. And it's a very dense field. So in the last 3 years, we've accomplished at least one of those goals, and we're proud of that. Verada is a Brooklyn-based boutique firm. We have a little niche that we've carved out. We handle first-generation space. That means new development, and we lease office and retail space. And we've had success since the beginning of our founding in May of 2022, and I'm very proud of that. We streamline a lot of data in our back end, and it took us about eight months to build a back end of Verada Retail, and it was a learning curve for sure. But we're happy that we went through it because we're seeing results.
Yep. During those early moments, what were the early moments when you knew the model was resonating with you?
To be honest with you, my partner Brendan and I knew that it would work before we built it. And one of the reasons why is that commercial lags a little bit behind residential, really in a lot of ways. And we saw some needs that weren't being met by landlord reps in the market. One was just absolute poor presentation. It was quite common that somebody would get a black and white, CAD file of the space, and it's $100 million building, and you're thinking to yourself, how much marketing does Ryan Serhant spend on selling the commercial condos upstairs, and the typical broker, would be spending less than $200 on a marketing deck of a property that's worth $2 to $5 million at a base of $100 million building. So that was, that kind of set us off from the get-go. So once we realized that we could produce a really good quality product, we then went right into how do we deliver it to the best people in the shortest amount of time, and that's really it.
So you've purely focused, like you're focusing on a brand first approach.
At the beginning to get our name out there on 100%, and really to give the owners a quality product that they can be proud of.
Now, you mentioned you've carved out a niche in a dense urban market in Brooklyn. How has the role of the retail broker evolved in those dense urban markets?
The roles are slow in commercial real estate to really evolve. I think that it's very, very common that you will see market leaders controlling the upper echelons of deal flow, and that's been a constant for long before I was born. And it's really about market knowledge, and that market knowledge takes a long time to develop, and it's a slow moving industry. It is starting to pick up some tempo, and the cadence is getting faster. But really, it's an industry that doesn't move at a really high speed to begin with. Buildings take 3 years to get built in New York, so it kind of goes with what you're doing.
Now, like in our previous conversations, but also content across your community and your website. Like Verada doesn't just fill space; you curate it. Can you walk us through how you think about tenant mix and activation strategy?
Yeah, sure. When we get a assigned or win agency and represent a landlord, right from the initial broker opinion of value, I use various softwares and a good gut feeling about what's needed in the neighborhood, and also what the landlord would like to have. Maybe it's an amenity to the building. Maybe it is something that is very community driven. So we use tech like Esri, which is a demographic uh, uh, modeling data. We also use Placer, which is machine learning, which basically tracks. It's really good for co-tenancy and understand what a void analysis would be, like what's missing in the neighborhood. It's a great tool to use to understand where people are going before and after they go to a certain location. It's some nice tech. Um, so we kind of get an idea of what's needed, and then we break it out into use groups and go from there. And we use various platforms to find trending tenant data. There's old school tech like the Brown Book or Retail Lease Track, CoStar, which is a great commercial platform, has been adding tenant mixes and understanding how that works. There's trade shows that we attend and learn about who's looking for new space. So that all goes into our broker opinion and values. So the landlords understand the comps, and it's quite simple. I analyzed the property in the Upper East Side in Manhattan yesterday. I looked at 21 trades. Out of 21 trades, 16 were F&B and 3 were, health and wellness, and 2 were Pilates. So we understood from the last year of trades that, most likely the best route and for the highest rent would be an F&B space. It's on 86th Street, Manhattan. It's got a little vibe going on. So that's what we thought. If it was in a neighborhood that needed or specifically called for community facility space, we'd look at ambulatory uses or daycare. And it kind of sets the tone.
Yeah. How important then is like data versus instinct when you're placing a tenant or advising a brand?
I would say that they're both good. You gotta have well, number one, if you think a tenant should be there, a tenant needs to know that they should be there, right? So that's a good thing. You can supply them with the data, but sometimes it's left to feel. I would say 3 or 4 years ago it was 80% gut. From my day to day, I'm probably at about 50 or 60% data to gut, but the data always. I've spent 10 years in the Brooklyn market, and I've seen neighborhoods evolve, and I'm a market leader. So normally the data backs up what I already think to begin with. If you were new to the marketplace, for example, we're representing a client from Los Angeles in the lifestyle and fitness category, and they don't understand the market. They haven't lived there for 10 years. So to share the data, to let them feel comfortable that their clients are in the area that we're looking at is great. And that's for tenants. It's easier to believe and trust us that we have our data that backs up our gut.
Now, speaking of tenants, you've worked with some dynamic and well-known growth stage brands. What do they want most when they're looking for a space partner?
I would say they're looking for people who really understand the market extremely well, first and foremost. I think they really need, they're looking for people that are experienced deal makers. I think they're looking for brokers that have a large Rolodex, whether it's mechanical engineers, structural engineers, architects, expediters. To open up a daycare in Brooklyn is quite complicated. You're going through 3 different city agencies: Department of Health, Department of Buildings, Department of Education. If you're a larger school, any type of ambulatory uses, like I'm doing a pharmacy right now. That's also, we have to go through federal regulation. So understanding that is really important. Of course, understanding how to get everyone across the finish line is also up there, I would imagine, for tenants. And really, I think for me, it's really understanding what's happening 2 or 3 years from now in terms of what projects are going and to be developed. And I have a constant monitor of all data in terms of applications, which means that basically a developer will send into the Department of Buildings their initial filings to build a building, and they go through approvals. So I'm looking about 2 or 3 years out right now on large projects. Personally, I have a bottom. I don't really handle under 10,000 feet anymore. I'm looking for more of the 30 or 40,000 square foot deals, and those take a lot of time. And so it's like a 2-year horizon.
So you mentioned some, like from a technology perspective, you mentioned some tools and some platforms that you're using. Are there any other that are core, I guess, to your business from a technology standpoint?
I think from a marketing standpoint and a lead standpoint, we're very happy with HubSpot. We've just taken on some additional tech. Crexy is working really well. They have a nice API function that I could just rip all the leads right from the dashboard right into our CRM. And HubSpot is actually what we built our website on too. So all our leads are really centralized, and communication is easy amongst my team. So it seems to be working well. Obviously, you still got to put the work in, but it's nice that it's all in one basket.
Now, when we spoke earlier, you mentioned you also use an analog piece of marketing. That do you want to share that?
Yeah, I think it's a great way to get in touch with people. I like to mail landlords letters and take a little Polaroid or a little selfie and print it on one of those little Fuji film printers and what have you, and of a development site or a building in progress. I think I got that from really, I think from my grandmother when I was a kid. She would mail my birthday cards, and I would always get so happy. And less people use mail. And I heard Bob Knackle, who might be one of the best in the business in New York's history. He's always mailing people letters, and I kind of thought, hey, why not, get a picture, and at least you can call up somebody and it's, hey, did you get my little picture of my partner in front of your site or myself? And it's a little bit of a goof, and kind of breaks the ice with somebody you never met before. So that's old school.
Well, it's what's old is new again, because people are flooded with lots of tech and processes and platforms and automations. What are some of the like analytics or AI that you use to support some of the outreach as well beyond the mailers?
Um, AI is in a lot of our platform or tech stack that we actually pay for. Um, but there's automations that we've implemented over the last year, and it's interesting to kind of teach myself some basic Python and understanding that we have some nice systems that we've developed. I'll tell you what, um, AI is really good to help you analyze stuff like data, and really can speed up understanding comp analysis. Something that would take me about 10 hours really trying to dive into comps takes me 2 hours now. And that's nice because we can analyze more things. And if you can really like analyze more things, you can actually like speak to tenants and or landlords from a standpoint of authority on the marketplace. And you still got to do your homework. Otherwise, you'll never be in that room in New York ever again. You can't come in and wing it. Everyone has personality at a higher level. It's actually what you know and who you know. More importantly, who knows you. I'm really I am a newly elected chair of the Brooklyn Commercial Committee for the Real Estate Board in New York. So that's a big honor, being one of RevNe's chairs, and it's nice to be elected by your peers at such a high level. And relationships in the real estate business is still first and foremost, and I don't see that changing. But developing new relationships and getting yourself out there and understanding your clients' pain points is the basis of what makes any successful broker. And your job is to do that in every way you can. And if you're not using tech right now, there's other people who are, and they're going to go by you because it allows you to understand information in a quicker way. And that's as basic as I could put it.
Yeah. Speed is king at the moment. From a market trends and also the future, we switch that. What are you seeing in the current urban retail landscape post COVID? We're now 3 years sort of post COVID. Are you seeing a new phase now?
New York is its own entity compared to the rest of the country. It is a very dense area, and let's just cut to the chase. It's hard to build here, and there's a lot of regulations. I'm not saying they're bad or they're good, but there's a lot of hoops to jump through. I would say that the majority of growth that happens in New York is when there's a atmosphere that you can develop new projects. And if you're not putting up new projects, there's no way to really expand in terms of total square footage, especially in Brooklyn. So if no big buildings are going up, you have no doctor's office, you have no grocery stores, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So really, there was some micro political tax incentives and abatements that went on, and then they were shut off post COVID. And new mayor and new administration came in, and then it took 2 years to go through that cycle. And now we're on the other side of it. And since that new law passed last year to replace the 421A, permitting is up, and we're going to get the housing that the city really needs. And we're going to get back to more retail and community facility space coming on the market. And at that point, really people can expand, because really it was a big bottleneck, and vacancy rates, were back to pre-COVID, and then, but we weren't really seeing growth, and we need buildings to see growth.
What are you seeing from a landlord perspective? Are they becoming open to more experiential or brand focused tenancies?
I would say that they've always been open to it. I think it's about need of a community, and I think that's the first thing they're thinking about. I think that after that, then, for example, if you wanted to put like a pickleball operator in your office building on the 5th floor as a building amenity, landlords are thinking about that now, especially in the office market. What can make your building, this Class A office market is really coming up, and there's becoming more and more amenities in these larger office developments, and people like it, and people are back at the office, and larger operators are looking for a home that people are going to be there 40, 50, 60 hours a week, but they could exercise, they could eat, they can enjoy themselves, because they spend so much time there, and they want their employees to it wasn't not everyone loved going back to the office. Let's just say that.
Still quite a bit of friction around the world with that.
100%. 100%.
So what's from your perspective, 3 years now, you've sort of you've reached quite a good level in your niche. What's next for Verada? Is it new markets or new verticals or other expansions?
Yeah, no, I think that we moved to the Fred French building. We're developing more agents out of Manhattan. We moved our office to Manhattan in part because I want an easy commute for myself, and my wife had 2 beautiful daughters, and I got my girls, and we moved to the countryside, so we're there, and we have a beautiful new office, and we're on to the stage of growing our agent body. And 3 years from now, I would like to be doing what we're doing in Brooklyn at a bigger scale, and I'd also like to really be a part of the Manhattan market, and that's a huge market. And from there, we're working on our tech stack, and we're going to be implementing a new build out in about 6 months from now. And I would say to all your viewers, stay tuned. We're on to some interesting things, and I come up with some crazy ideas, and most of the time people like them, but we'll see about these ideas if they pan out. And I think that one of my partners, Brendan, went down to Florida for a year. I think we love the market down there. We've done some great business down in Fort Lauderdale and Miami. But really, I think it's about growth in New York, and then scaling our platform, and then understanding some more data on a national level. So yeah, I think 3 years from now, we should be about 4 times the size in agent count, and really ingrained into the Manhattan market.
Nate, it's look, I appreciate your time today. Giving me this time to share your story and share your journey with Verada Retail, as well as what's happening next. Your approach to leasing feels like what the industry needs more of. It's smart, strategic, and also people-centered. And as you say, relationships are what builds businesses and connections. So before we wrap up, where can people connect with you or learn more about Verada?
You can learn about it on our website. It's pretty easy to get to. It's veradaRetail.com. That's VERADA retail.com. Easy way to connect through me there, Brendan or myself. And give us a call. Stop by our office. Say hello. Let us know how we could help.
Thanks for listening. If you're building a property business or want to use AI to fix your lead flow or automate your follow-ups and actually close smarter, check us out at PropLinq AI. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time.